Okay, so got some time, got some parts. Time to make a sculpture. This particular piece is going to be a combination and a further exploration of body parts. And a combination of wheel thrown and press molded pieces. This one is going to be real interesting because it's going to be really wide, I think. Probably much wider than previous two I've made, which I'll show pictures of in a little bit. But we're going to work on this piece here. And the first thing we got to do is we got to cut away the clay section. Yep, that was a wheel thrown part. And I've just cut it up so that I can start placing and working. I might even need to cut this even further back to make it fit better. Well, we'll cut a little bit on the press mold part here. Cutting. There's not a right or wrong way to do this part. It's more of press mold, fit, see if it fits. Does it give the shape I want? Do it again. Do it again. Might not be a lot left of this particular piece here, my original starting part, but that's okay. We may make a slight adjustment actually and do the piece to sit in like so. Luckily, I use a very, for the most part, forgiving clay body for doing this. It's called Big Easy Brownstone. It's made by Alligator Clay. It's a cone 10 clay body, which is good because it's what I fired to, but it is a cone 10 clay body with a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Kyanite in it, and a lot of grog. So it has a lot of give and forgiveness to it. So I can beat it up pretty well. Rehydrate it, beat it up some more, rehydrate it, beat it up some more. You get the picture. It takes abuse a lot. I found it's not the best on running recycling through pug mill. It loses a lot of its fine grain parts, so it can go short on you. But at that point, you just add in some ball clay. This, however, is all clay straight, fresh out of the bag, but pugged from the company, so it's really good. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm working my hands on the inside and the outside. I use vinegar as my super wetting agent. thing, and it's starting to begin the piece there. There's another part that's going to go on here, so this will be a real interesting large piece. I start these with a basic idea of how I want the piece to go. So I make the parts, but I also work in a style of by the seat of my pants. Well, not really, I mean, I'm making adjustments and ideas and decisions the whole time so that I keep the main idea in focus, but making sure that it is an interesting piece and form. And I really don't know how long it's going to take me to do this piece. Could take me an hour. We don't know. But as you can see, it's going to be a lot of working and pressing into the piece here. A lot of times I like to come back and I like to use this little rib, really kind of press and force those two different pieces of clay together so that they adhere really, really well. And that's kind of the big thing here, is making sure I get a good, strong connection so that the piece works. I think I might even do a little bit of speedy up Gonzalez when I edit this video. So it's not a whole bunch of me just looking and pressing and looking and pressing and you sitting there being bored going, get on with it. I'm using a little bit of this water here to help keep that rim good and clean and damp. As you can see, we're starting to get a form and a little deformation occurring. I like to make it look like the piece is kind of formed in, but yet still breaking out of the body. So I come around and I smooth out these areas here. Make sure I get good formation. Now this originally started off as, like I say, a body cast and a wheel thrown vase, a very nice wheel thrown vase. It's not nice anymore, but it was nice at one time before I went and cut it up. Now the reason why I use vinegar instead of water is that vinegar, for some reason, I guess because of the pH of it, is very much what you call almost a super wetting agent. So it will allow you to do some things to clay that usually you can't do. I have been told paper clay is really good, and truthfully, paper clay is good. And I'm sure if I continue making these strange, whacked sculptures, I may even get to using paper clay, but till then I'll keep using the same clay that I make all my functional ware out of, and my raku pieces, because, well, it works, and then it means I only have to have one clay body in the studio. I do have a mixer, so I guess I could, if I decide, I could take my slop and make it into paper clay. This one may be one that I have to actually put underneath plastic. Little pieces kind of rehydrate there a little bit before I can go any further with it. Now, every so often I get these little tears in the clay where the texture is really, really thin. Or the clay became really thin from the texture of the press molded piece. And I like those actually. Sure, getting all loud and obnoxious there. But I don't want to lose them, so I take bits of clay, so I don't, and I refresh it, refine it from the inside, so that that crack, that deep crack that occurred, stays visible on the outside, but it's not affecting anything on the inside. All right, so that's that piece. We can come over here and get the top. Ugh. Here's the top. Just give me a second and we'll cut the top off. Sounds like I have a bee. From the sound of it, a very lost wood bee. This is not an area with wood, sir. Go elsewhere. Ugh. Now, the top is going to go on here, and you can start to see the appearance of what it'll eventually look like when it's all done. In order to do this, again, it's back down and it's look. Let's see, we'll bring that open a little bit. I want that to come kind of straight up, and I want that to blend in. So take a look at how I do that. Find my handy dandy trusty cutter knife that I just lost. How? I don't know. Magic. This would be, this is the part where I'm supposed to have a assistant run up and hand you what you're missing. I don't have an assistant. Ah. I was hiding. Let's get back down to where you can see my blue hair and my goatee. All right. So I'm gonna poke there. I'm gonna poke there. And there. And we're gonna figure out approximately how we're gonna cut this back. Like so. And now I'm going to actually start to peel this back and up. And again, like I say, this clay is pretty forgiving for all the horrible things that I do with it. And now I can start to place it in place, see if I need to go up higher. Yep, I do. There we go. I'm actually going to take that section off completely. Come in there, come in there. And we're going to sprinkler things, leave extra clay at the base of the top so that I can have clay to work with. Really get that in there. Bring that clay down there. And continue pressing and hand building this stuff together. Now, if you're a horrible hand builder like I am, I admit it, I'm a horrible hand builder. You don't do all the things like slipping and scoring. Get yourself a very nice and so what I'm looking for, oh yes, very forgiving clay body if you're going to do this stuff. Because if you do that, you won't have any cracks. You try these things with porcelain, and well, porcelain's going to make you cry. All right, back down. And again, continuing to force clay together. I really didn't want to be together, but you know, it doesn't have much of a choice at this point. I think the next time I use this chess piece, I'm going to make a bigger base. Or cut the chess piece up more. I don't know. Something along those lines will happen. That's okay. Kind of like it. Ripping through and out, as it is currently doing. There you go. Now, this particular tool is a Japanese throwing rib, or at least that's what they call it, a throwing stick rather. I just call it the stick, because I'm able to get in there and really reach areas that my fat hands can't get down to, and I can make stuff happen. I will need said stick multiple times on this piece, that looks like. Let's see. We're getting a little bit of work happening here. That's not what we want to have happen. Part of that is again, deforming the clay, pressing it around, being mean to it, and it's trying to tell me you don't want to do some of those things. But it will. It will. Why? It doesn't really have much choice. It does it, or it gets the pug mill again. This is the part where we start to cover it up, And I like to cover it up because I could leave that open. And, I don't think anybody would be at all disappointed if I did in the piece, but I would. Gotta give a little bit of support. Yeah, that's not gonna give the support we need. There we go. And now back to the joys of vinegar. The joys of vinegar. Can't espouse the wonderfulness of vinegar, at least in my studio, enough. Stick. I like to use the stick to get that little bit of beating in there. Just makes it work so nice. All I'm using for a cutting tool is just an old needle tool. Works well for me. You may need something different. You may have a different preference, but needle tool works for me. I don't even know who made that needle tool. I'm kind of blending in and hiding my edge here. Kind of work this way, let you see exactly what I'm doing. So now, if you're a student of somebody, whoever, and they tell you must always slip and score, well, in their studio, slip and score. They tell you that you can't just beat two pieces of clay together, well, then I guess you just can't beat two pieces of clay together. Look, I'm not gonna lie, clay is extremely forgiving. It will definitely make you humble, that is for sure. I've been humbled many times. Even with this clay body, I've been humbled. And that's okay. But once you learn your clay, and you learn what it can do, and what it can't do, this is never going to be a translucent clay body. It'll never be pretty and shiny. Well, it might be pretty and shiny. But once you learn what it can do, you can, of course, take those rules and, throw them out the window. I don't throw them out the window. Bend them, twist them, shape them to what you need those rules to do. I guarantee you, sometimes you will have to come back to those basic rules. Especially if you change clay bodies or you start doing a different type of construction. You would definitely want to come back to some of those original rules. Currently, with my current body of work and the current clay and the way I work it, I'm able to bend the rules to my liking. But as I was saying before, if you work if you're a student and your instructor says slip and score, don't say, well, that guy with the goatee on the video said I didn't have to. I'm not saying that. Right? Listen to him. There is reasoning behind it. If all you're using is water and slip, then slipping and scoring is very important. If you're using a super wetting agent like vinegar, well then slipping and scoring might not be as important. I don't like to slip and score because I get all kinds of weird shapes, weird indentions in some of my work, and I just don't like it. So I use vinegar, and I don't seem to have troubles with it. Not to say that you won't, but you probably won't. So that's general form that you see there. I've got some more refining that I'm going to be doing on it, which is just going to be lots and lots of looking at it and shaping it and filling in a few little holes here, a few little holes there. Let me pull it down and show you what I was talking about with the